Most people look at their garden and see color. A few people look at their garden and see cash. The difference isn't the plants they grow, it's knowing which plants pay you back. Today, I'm sharing 13 perennial flowers that growers across America are selling for real money at farmers markets, to florists, through online plant sales, and right out of their own front yards. These are perennials. You plant them once, they multiply on their own, and the more they grow, the more you can sell. Let's get into it. If you're finding this helpful, hit the like button. It helps this channel more than you'd think. And if you're new here, subscribe so you don't miss the rest of this series. Plant 1. Peony. We start with the undisputed king of the cut flower market, the peony. A single peony stem sells for $10 to $15 at a farmer's market. At wholesale, florists will pay $3 to $5 per stem. Now multiply that by what one established plant produces, between 5 and 10 blooms per season. Put 100 plants in the ground and you're looking at 500 to 1,000 sellable stems a year. In market prices, that's $5,000 to $15,000 from 100 plants on a modest plot of land. The patience tax on peonies is real. They take 2 to 3 years to bloom heavily after planting, but once they hit their stride, a peony plant lives for 100 years. The plants your grandmother put in the ground are still producing blooms worth selling today. This isn't just a perennial, it's a permanent asset. Varieties that command the highest premiums: Sarah Bernard in soft pink, Coral Charm for its sunset tones that photograph beautifully, and Festiva Maxima for its classic white with crimson flecks. Wedding florists pay by name for these. The second plant is the #1 selling perennial in America, and most growers don't know what it's worth: the hosta. Hostas are the most underestimated plant on this list, and that's exactly why savvy growers are making serious money with them. Here's the business case. Hostas are the #1 selling perennial in America. Nurseries can't keep them stocked, and the division math is almost unfair. One mature hosta clump can be divided into 4, 6, sometimes 10 individual plants every 3 to 4 years. Each of those divisions sells for $5 to $15 at plant sales, and that's for common varieties. Rare and collector hosta varieties are a different conversation entirely. Specialty cultivars with unusual colors, streaking, or miniature forms regularly fetch $20 to $50 per plant. Some prized collector varieties sell for over $100. Hosta enthusiast clubs and online plant swaps have created a passionate buyer community that pays premium prices for the right plant. And hostas thrive in shade, which means you're producing high-value inventory on the land that most gardeners write off as unusable. That's competitive advantage hiding in the shadows. Low maintenance, drought-tolerant once established, and virtually pest-free outside of slug pressure. This is a plant that practically grows your profit on its own. The third plant blooms when nothing else will, and florists will pay a premium for it: the hellebore. Hellebores are what I call a slow money plant, and slow money is often the most durable. What makes hellebores profitable isn't demand, it's scarcity. They take 2 to 3 years to bloom from seed. They don't divide easily or quickly. That built-in bottleneck means retail prices stay high and rarely drop. Walk into any upscale garden center and you'll find hellebores at $15 to $25 for a standard plant, and $35 to $50 for mature, double-flowered named varieties. If you have established hellebores you can divide carefully, selectively, you're holding inventory that sells out at every spring plant sale without any marketing effort. Timing is another advantage. Hellebores bloom in late winter and very early spring, often while snow is still on the ground. Florists who need February and March cuts have almost nothing available from domestic growers. A reliable source of hellebore stems during that window builds the kind of loyalty that turns into recurring wholesale orders. The fourth plant can open 5 income streams from a single harvest: the lavender. Lavender is the plant that built a cottage industry, and I mean that literally. What separates lavender from almost every other plant on this list is the number of revenue streams it opens from a single harvest. Fresh cut bundles sell for $8 to $15. Dried bundles sell for $10 to $20. Sachets for $3 to $8 each. Culinary lavender brings $12 to $18 an ounce through specialty food markets and Etsy shops. And if you invest in distillation equipment, lavender essential oil commands $30 to $80 per ounce. Then there's agritourism. Lavender farms that host You Pick weekends are charging $20 to $30 per person just to walk through the rows and cut their own bundles. Some operations gross more from 2 summer weekends than they do selling product for the rest of the year combined. For cold climate growers, variety selection is critical. Phenomenal lavender is the standout choice for zones 5 and 6. It survives harsh winters that would kill most other cultivars. For oil production, Grosso is the standard. For the cut and dried market, Hidcoat delivers dense, aromatic flower heads with excellent color retention. The fifth plant gives you a cut flower, a medicinal herb, and a seed business all at once, the coneflower. Echinacea gives you 2 separate markets in one plant, and that kind of redundancy is genuinely valuable in any small-scale growing operation. On the ornamental side, coneflowers are beloved native perennials with strong farmers market demand. Fresh stems sell steadily through summer, but the medicinal herb market is where growers find the real margin. Dried echinacea root sells for $25 to $40 a pound through herbal suppliers. Dried aerial parts fetch $15 to $25 a pound. Echinacea consistently ranks among the top-selling herbal supplements in the country. The demand is stable and doesn't rely on trends. And then there's seeds. Specialty echinacea varieties, coral doubles, mango tone selections, compact hybrids sell for $8 to $15 per packet on Etsy and through online seed shops. One established plant can produce hundreds of viable seeds in a single season. That's 4 distinct revenue channels from a plant that thrives in full sun, tolerates drought once established, and spreads reliably without becoming invasive. It's one of the most financially resilient perennials you can grow. The sixth plant multiplies faster than almost anything else on this list, the daylily. Daylilies might be the single fastest multiplying income plant in this entire video. Here's the math. One healthy daylily clump produces 3 to 7 new fans per year through natural division. In 3 years, a single plant can become 15 to 20 divisions, each one sellable. Common varieties move for $5 to $10 a fan at plant sales, but step into the world of named cultivars and the numbers change dramatically. New and rare daylily varieties, the reblooming types, the unusual color patterns, the spider forms and doubles, regularly sell for $20 to $50 per fan. Collective varieties introduced within the last 5 years can command $100 or more per division. The American Hemerocallis Society has a network of devoted buyers who will pay those prices without hesitation. If you start with 5 named varieties today and divide every 3 years, you can build a daylily inventory worth several $1,000s in under a decade from plants that ask almost nothing of you. They tolerate poor soil, bounce back from drought, and don't require division to survive. They just perform better when you do it. The seventh plant has quietly taken over the wedding floral industry, coral bills. Coral bells have quietly become one of the most demanded foliage plants in the entire cut flower industry, and most gardeners are still treating them like a border ornamental. Florists use heuchera leaves as premium filler in upscale arrangements and wedding florals. The foliage holds beautifully in water, comes in colors that range from deep burgundy to bright lime to metallic silver, and adds a textural element that no other shade plant matches. Specialty stems sell for $2 to $4 each to wholesale florists, and a mature clump produces foliage throughout the entire growing season. On the plant sales side, heuchera is a division goldmine. Collector varieties with unusual coloring, Palace purple, caramel, obsidian, lime ricky, sell for $12 to $25 per plant at spring sales. New introductions from major breeders can retail for $30 or more. They're shade-tolerant, extremely cold hardy through zone 4, and they look dramatically ornamental even when not in bloom. This is a plant that sells itself on appearance alone, which makes it easy to move at any market or sale table. The eighth plant operates in 3 separate markets, and most growers only ever use one: bee balm. Bee balm is one of those plants that operates in 3 completely separate markets at once, and most growers only use one of them. As a cut flower, Monarda's shaggy crown-like blooms are increasingly sought after by florists looking for wildflower-style stems with visual texture. Fresh stems sell for $1 to $3 each, but the medicinal and culinary herb market is where bee balm earns serious money. Dried Monarda leaf and flower sells for $12 to $20 per ounce through herbal suppliers. It's used in teas, tinctures, and as a culinary herb with an oregano-like flavor profile. The essential oil pressed from bee balm, specifically the wild bergamot, is gaining traction in the natural skincare and aromatherapy market. Small batch distillers are paying growers for fresh plant material by the pound. And then there's the agritourism angle that ties it all together. Bee balm in bloom is a pollinator spectacle. Bumblebees, hummingbirds, and butterflies work it continuously. Gardens and farms that showcase living pollinator ecosystems are increasingly popular as paid experiences and educational destinations. Bee balm earns its place in that story. If you've made it this far, you're clearly serious about this. Make sure you're subscribed. I post new videos on growing and homesteading every week, and you don't want to miss what's coming next. The ninth plant earns money while demanding almost nothing from you: sedum. Sedum is the low-maintenance workhorse of this list, a plant that earns money while demanding almost nothing from you. In the landscape industry, sedum is in consistent year-round demand. Landscapers and garden designers use it as a go-to filler for commercial and residential projects because of its drought tolerance, season-long interest, and near-zero maintenance requirements. Wholesale plugs sell for $2 to $4 each. Divisions from mature clumps move quickly at any plant sale for $5 to $12 per pot. There's also a growing market in the green roof and sustainable landscaping sector. Sedum is one of the approved plants for rooftop garden systems, and that industry has been expanding rapidly in cities across the country. Specialty growers who supply rooftop installers and eco-landscapers are operating in a higher margin niche than the standard garden market. As a cut flower, tall sedum varieties like Autumn Joy offer domed pink to rust flower heads that dry beautifully on the stem. Dried sedum arrangements sell at craft markets and fall festivals without any processing beyond simply letting them stand. This is as close to passive inventory as a flower grower can get. The 10th plant is one of the most recognized flowers in America, and it sells twice: hydrangea. Hydrangea is one of the most recognized and requested flowers in America, and that demand drives consistent, predictable income for growers who take it seriously. Fresh hydrangea stems sell for $4 to $8 each at farmers markets. Florists pay $3 to $6 wholesale for quality stems, and they use them constantly in wedding arches, funeral arrangements, corporate events, and everyday shop inventory. One mature hydrangea shrub can produce 20 to 40 cut-worthy stems per season, and established plants increase their output every year. The dried flower market is where hydrangea really shines as a year-round income source. Dried hydrangea heads hold their structure and much of their color for months, sometimes years. Dried bundles sell for $12 to $30 at craft fairs, home decor markets, and online shops. Etsy stores built entirely around dried hydrangea arrangements are generating thousands of dollars a month for small-scale growers. For maximum cut flower output, focus on Annabelle for its enormous white blooms, Incrediball for its reliability, and the Endless Summer series for repeat bloom. Limelight is the most popular choice for the dried flower market. Its blooms age to a parchment tone that pairs beautifully with other dried botanicals. The 11th plant thrives where others fail and commands premium prices doing it: Russian sage. Russian sage doesn't get the attention it deserves on most profitable plant lists, and that's a mistake. In dried flower and botanical arrangement market, Russian sage is a premium architectural element. Its silvery stems and small lavender blue flowers create a hazy, ethereal texture that no other plant replicates. Dried bundles sell for $10 to $20 at markets and online shops. Florists sourcing dried botanicals for upscale arrangements will pay well for reliable, quality harvested Russian sage because domestic supply is thin. From a production standpoint, Russian sage is almost absurdly low input. It is drought tolerant to an extreme degree, thrives in poor soil, and laughs at heat that would wilt other plants. That means your input costs, water, amendments, labor, are lower than virtually any other plant on this list. Low input, consistent output, premium dried flower price. The margin math is very favorable. In the landscape wholesale market, Russian sage is a staple plant that designers use to fill large commercial borders. Selling rooted cuttings and divisions to local landscapers and garden centers creates a stable secondary income stream that doesn't require the logistics of a farmer's market stall. The 12th plant spreads for free every year and sells 3 different ways. Black-eyed Susan. Black-eyed Susans are the high-volume, low-drama plant that anchors a profitable cutting garden. As a fresh cut, Rudbeckia is in steady demand through late summer and fall, a period when most spring perennials have finished and florists are scrambling for domestic color. Stems sell for $1 to $2 wholesale and $2 to $4 retail. The real power comes from volume. Rudbeckia spreads aggressively and self-seeds freely, meaning your planting expands every year at zero cost. The seed market is where Black-eyed Susan can generate surprisingly consistent income. Native plant seed packets sell for $8 to $15 each through online shops and native plant societies. Collecting, cleaning, and packaging seed from an established planting takes minimal time and produces a product with genuine shelf appeal. Native plant gardening is one of the fastest-growing segments in American horticulture right now. Wholesale landscape plugs are the third revenue stream. Landscapers and restoration projects need native plants by the flat. Selling Rudbeckia plugs in trays of 32 or 50 is a reliable B2B income source that doesn't require any retail interaction or market setup, just a relationship with 2 or 3 local landscaping companies. The 13th and final plant is one landscape designers use in virtually every project: Catmint. We close with Catmint, and if you're a gardener who hasn't considered this plant as a profit center, this one might surprise you. Catmint is the most requested plant in landscape design for low-maintenance borders. It blooms for months, handles drought without complaint, and reblooms after a midsummer shear. That dependability means designers put it in virtually every project, and they need a reliable source. This is where the home grower's advantage comes in. Catmint divides easily and quickly. One mature plant becomes 3 or 4 divisions in spring. Sell those divisions to local landscapers, garden centers, or at plant sales for $5 to $10 each, and you have a predictable, repeatable income stream that regenerates itself every single year. As a cut flower, Catmint moves at $1 to $2 a stem through summer, with dried bundles adding a secondary market at $5 to $12. What makes Catmint the right plant to close with is what it represents. Not every profitable perennial has to be dramatic. Some of the most reliable income comes from plants that just keep doing their job, quietly, dependably, season after season. That's the whole point of building a perennial-based growing operation. You do the work once, the plants take it from there. 13 plants, all perennials, all proven income producers across this country. Here's what I want you to take away from this video. You don't have to grow all 13. You don't even have to grow 5. Pick 2 or 3 that fit your climate, your space, and your market, and build from there. A single mature peony patch or a small lavender planting done well will outperform a dozen half-committed attempts every time. The million-dollar figure in this title isn't a promise, it's a direction. Every serious flower farming operation in America started with someone standing in a backyard, looking at a plant, and deciding to take it seriously. That decision is the only thing separating a garden from a business. The vault doesn't open itself. You have to plant something first. If this video gave you something useful, drop a comment below, even just which plant you're starting with. It helps the channel, and I read every single one. See you in the next one.